So hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Friday. I am Rachel Osterling. I'm going to be the host today. I'm the Tier 2 Central Area Lead. As a reminder, we do have this webinar on a monthly basis on the last Friday of the month at 10:30 a.m. So I would just encourage you guys to continue attending. If you can't, that's fine. Share with your teams so they can attend as well. And like Kat said, we have this recorded, so you can always go back to the website if you want to listen to the recording. So I have a couple of updates I'm going to go through today. I have them listed here. The first one, I want to talk about the most recent podcast that Carl has posted and what he's going to be doing for the March podcast. And then I have some work group updates. We're going to be wrapping up a couple of our work groups within the Tier 2 team. So I want to give an update on that. And then we have our Tier 2 risk prevention workshops that are going to be starting in March. So I want to give some good detail updates with that as well and what that's going to entail. Then I have an update regarding our Tier 2 director, Ree Evans, and then sharing our contact information for the Tier 2 team as well. So the first thing I want to cover today is the Tier 2 podcast. As you guys are probably familiar, Carl Honecker is the host for this. We now have, I believe it's 4 podcasts that are live. The most recent topic, Carl interviewed Rachel Jones. She is with the department, and their topic for that episode was trauma-informed care. This is where Rachel explains the scope of trauma-informed care from both the individual and the organizational level by explaining the trauma-based services with that trauma-based approach. I won't go into too much detail, but one of the things that they explored in this episode are the 3 E's, which they talked about: event, experience, and effort, how each individual experiences these 3 things differently. So just a little briefing of what that podcast is. I listened to it. I thought it was a great podcast. So I would just encourage you guys to go out there and listen to this. And I think Kat put in the chat box the link to the Spotify podcast as well. The next podcast that we're going to have in March is going to be an interview that Carl's going to do with Kathleen Deppler. She is the Tier 1 director. So this is where they talk about the tools for everyone. So if some of you guys are familiar, we have the tools of choice. So it's pretty similar to the tools of choice, but this is having a different spin and working with all people in all different environments and in different situations. And then they talk about how they can apply these in these different avenues. So one of the things that they cover is dealing with difficult situations in meetings and ways that we can decompress with these situations afterwards. So once this podcast or this episode is live, a DD blast should go out to everyone, letting you guys know that this is live. Okay, another update I have is the work groups. I think I mentioned on a previous update that our Tier 2 team has a handful of work groups that we're doing. We have 2 of them right now that are finishing up their projects. And once they're done, these work groups will be completed and no longer existing. The work group committee members, they will be starting new work groups or put into different work groups that we already have. So like I said, they're finishing up their projects. So with the collaboration work group, they are working on a person-centered approach for person-centered staffing. So this is a module on how to use a person-centered staffing approach to help providers address risk and to help prevent some crisis situations occurring. So they're wrapping up some final projects and then that work group will be completed. Excuse me. The next work group is the Enhancing Transition Work Group. This work group is also working on a person-centered approach where they're encouraging teams to include the individual during their transition meetings and during that transition process. So just advocating for that person so they can have a voice, so they can provide input to the teams themselves instead of someone else speaking for them. So the last two things that they just completed was a one-pager, and I believe we're going to have that posted on the Community Transition website soon. And then they just finished up a PowerPoint, so they're going to be doing a live webinar with that PowerPoint, focusing on that person-centered and getting the individual involved with their transition. So once that's set up and scheduled, there should be a DD blast that will go out for that webinar as well if you want to attend that. The next update here is where I'm going to talk about our upcoming Tier 2 risk prevention workshops. So just to give you a little overview, these workshops are for the agencies that are already, well, our preferences for the agencies that are already a Tier 1 agency. We're hoping that those who are already active with Tier 1 and then they're ready for some of our Tier 2 services, that they would move over and start our workshops as well. So the audience, the targeted audience that we're looking at are the hospitals, residential service providers, and then the behavioral service providers as well. So with this workshop series, this is a certificate series, which we offer 2 cohorts, which I will explain here in just a minute, where we're going to offer free training and consultation for our residential service agencies. So with this, the providers will be able to meet our risk prevention team, and we will guide the agencies in this four workshop series where we're going to support the agency coaches so that they can develop some easy secondary interventions for their agency. So there will be some homework required in between the workshops because there'll be 4 of them. And in order to get that certification after the workshop series, they'll have to have all of that homework completed and they'll have to attend all of those workshops. So as you'll see here on the screen, and what I mentioned earlier, there'll be 2 cohorts. There'll be cohort 1, which is going to be the first Tuesday morning of the month from 9 to 10:30. So if you register for a morning one, you will need to stay in that morning course for the entire series. And then we'll have a cohort 2, which will be the 3rd Tuesday afternoon of the month. So the first series that we have is going to go from March till June. We're going to take the month of July off for the workshops, and then it will start back up in August, and that will go from August till November, and then we'll have December off. So on the next slide, I'll kind of explain, next couple slides, I'll explain how the fall workshops will work. And then there's a link here as well, and I think Kat put that in the chat box. This is a link to the Tier 2 website. If you go to our Tier 2 website, right in the middle, you'll see a little banner that says Tier 2 workshops. Click on that, and that will take you directly to the flyer where it gives you all the workshop information. And that's where you can click to register, and that will take you directly to the Eventbrite so you can actually get signed up for those courses. So the courses that we're going to offer within the workshop, like I said, it's a 4-course workshop series. So you have to attend all 4 of these courses between March and June. The first topic is going to be the Tier 2 readiness and risk screener, We're going to be doing some risk prevention. And this is actually one of the slides that we already presented at our Extra Scoops last year that we did. The safety crisis planning, that will actually be hosted and co-hosted by the Tier 3 team. So the Tier 2 team is not going to be hosting that one. That's the only one that they're going to be hosting. Then we're going to have the check-in, check-out workshop and then a do-it-yourselves DIY workshop as well. And like I said, to get registered, you just go to our Tier 2 website, click on that little banner for the workshops. It will take you to the little flyer, and then you'll just click on the click here to get registered. So like I mentioned, we'll have the spring workshop series, which will be March till June. We'll take July off. We'll start back up in August. August is going to look, or the fall workshop is going to look a little different. The first Tuesday of the month is actually going to be an in-person training that we're going to offer. So that's going to be offered at a local regional office. So we have designated 5 regional offices that we're going to offer that in person to, and that's going to be Columbia office, the Sikeston office, the St. Louis office, Kansas City, and Springfield. And then that third Tuesday of the month will be a virtual in the afternoon, just like the spring courses that we have. And those courses are going to be exactly the same as the spring courses that I showed you here on this previous slide. And the next update we have, as you guys know, Ree Evans is our Tier 2 director. She has accepted a contracted position through the Department of Behavioral Health. Our team is extremely sad to see her leave because we've really enjoyed having her on our team and as our lead. She's been phenomenal to work with and to work for. She has done great things, lots of great work for not only our team, but our stakeholders and then the individuals that we serve on a regular basis. So on behalf of the Tier 2 team, we just wish her the best of luck, and we know that she's going to do great in her next role in the new agency that she's going to be with. So with that being said, once we have a new Tier 2 director, we will announce that, and maybe that'll be on my next webinar for March, but we will keep you updated with that. And that actually concludes our webinar for today. So thank you for attending. Just make sure that you mark your calendars for the next one. The next one is going to be on March 31st at 10:30 a.m., which is that last Friday of the month. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box right now. Kat and I will stay on for a couple minutes and filter through these. So thanks for attending, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend.